Hey everybody, it's attorney Justin Lovely with MyrtleBeachBikerLawyer.com, powered by the lovely law firm Injury Lawyers, and I am here at Red Rock Harley-Davidson here in fabulous Las Vegas. Again, we're continuing our conversations from our NAML meeting, and I've got another awesome lawyer from Las Vegas. He's here, he's local. It's attorney Eric Blank, and he has been doing personal injury for the last 25 years. He's starting to really grow a really big motorcycle injury law practice, and he's doing some great work here in the community. And so, Eric, how you doing, man? Doing good?
Yeah.
Did you learn anything in this little mini meeting that we've had behind me?
I learned a lot. I mean, we had some presentations there. They were showing how to remove the helmet if someone I wrote one of the comments down there. She goes, "It's no good if they're dead," because a lot of people are afraid to move you if you're injured.
Yeah.
But one of the points was made across was, okay, but it won't hurt them if they're dead. So if you have to do what you have to do at times to get them safe.
So you're one of the newest members of NAML, the National Academy of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. We're glad to have you, man. And these accident scene management classes are very, very important, and you learn stuff just like that. And you got what were your first thoughts? Because she taught you a little mini class. What did you think?
Well, I mean, it's my impression has always been, and from clients that I've had, when you're in a motorcycle accident or motorcycle crash, it's generally pretty dire consequences. It's you and the ground, so you don't have a lot of protection between there. So, one of the big impressions was that even if that's happening, things you have to consider for yourself as someone who's rendering aid, as well as what you want to do with that person. You got to get them to a safe area, even if it may be moving them. A lot of times the thought is, don't move them, right?
Yeah.
Let them stand still. But sometimes you have no choice but to move them, other than laying in the middle of a road where another vehicle could run over them.
And so doing this outreach and teaching these classes, sponsoring these through your firm, I mean, you're going to be the go-to lawyer, and that education is priceless to people because, I mean, what better education than how to save a fellow rider, right?
For sure. I mean, that's tremendous. I mean, it's great to be out there and have the open road and out there riding, but what can you do when something happens? Unfortunately, in the work we do, we see a lot of bad drivers or drivers that aren't paying attention, and if you're on a motorcycle and you happen to be on the other end of that, which is not an uncommon occurrence, you need to know what to do or be able to render that aid to someone else who is injured.
Right. Now we're in Nevada. And obviously Nevada's laws are different than South Carolina's laws. And I've been having these podcast discussions. Everybody's got a different story. It's wild how these laws vary from state to state. What are the minimum insurance requirements here in Nevada, and specifically touch on uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage?
So great question. So the mandatory insurance that you have to have here is $25,000 liability, $50,000 total for a given accident. And that's the only requirement you have to have. You're not required to have underinsured coverage. You're not required to have. We have medical payments coverage here. You're not required to have that. So the only requirement is $25.50. Now, unfortunately, we've seen more of, and perhaps you see that in South Carolina, more and more people, they may get insurance to get their registration, and then they'll drop it. We're finding more and more uninsured drivers out there.
Wow. Well, so UIM or UN is not required at all?
It is not required at all.
That's just so crazy to me. And that's part of this ASM training. Is when we go, my whole speech during lunchtime is, guys, get out your deck page right now. I'm going to look at it. You need to raise this UIM insurance. I mean, that's the most important coverage you can have as a motorcycle rider.
What we find is that people, two things. It's very common. You probably hear this phrase too. When we ask clients, do you have underinsured or uninsured coverage? And if not, we'll look it up. They go, well, I have full coverage. Yeah. And what I've learned is that the definition of full coverage for people is I have the minimum liability required. Yeah. That's their definition of full coverage.
Well, that's the myth that's been propounded on everybody by the insurance companies, right? Yeah. You've got full coverage. We'll say, no, you don't have shit. If you think you have full coverage, you don't. Yeah. You need to let us look at your policy and make sure that you're protected, right?
For sure. Now you're
protecting the other guy with minimum policy, right?
Oh, for sure. They're not protecting themselves, and I think unfortunately there's a thought process, and we've done videos on this. We try and educate clients on that, but there's a thought process out there. There's some random pool of money out there that pool of money will go towards someone if they're in an accident. Like, hey, I've been in an accident, I should be compensated. Go, well, the other side didn't have that insurance, or they had this 25 minimum. Unfortunately, you've self-insured yourself. You don't have that insurance. So you've taken the risk on. If you've not paid uninsured policy limits or premiums in the past, you've gotten away with it, right? You've done that. But now when you are paying, now here's the time when you need it. You've not paid for it, so you self-insured it. So
yeah, wow.
I don't use that much because it's too technical, but yeah.
And that's why you have to hire us so we can figure it out, right?
For sure.
Now, so we're in Las Vegas. Obviously, there's a lot of casinos down here. A lot of tourists come down here. Now, what kind of cases do you see at these casinos?
We see a fair number of slip and fall, trip and fall type cases. We have notice requirements here. I know probably a lot of states do as well, and depending the jurisdiction or federal cases, they've kind of set sort of limits what that would be. A lot of times people think just because they fell that the casino is on the hook, which we both know I think is not accurate. Did they have some kind of notice, or did they have a condition that was already dangerous, that the introduction of some kind of moisture to it made it immediately dangerous? So we have clients like that. Casinos here will will push back. A lot of people think, well, they don't want the negative publicity. And yeah, they're not looking for negative publicity, but it doesn't scare them either. They know that there's so much going on, so much news here that, a slip and fall story is not going to
they don't care.
Down. Essentially, they don't really care about it. So, they will fight you on it, but we've been very successful, working through the cases with merit and getting that to clients, getting them, justice in those cases. What the casinos don't want, they don't want people thinking that they have a bad weekend at the tables and they're going to make up for it by falling there and getting a quick payday. So that's why.
What about is drunk driving victims? Is that a big issue out here? Because people come down here to party, and maybe they make a mistake and don't take an Uber or Lyft. Are they hitting your clients? And do you have a good dram shop law?
So, well, let me hit that two parts. Number one, we do see a fair number of DUI. Our clients can be the victim of that. Sometimes they'll say that they believe the client was a drunk, but there's not been a test performed or anything like that. So that's not always, obviously doesn't become evidence. We can throw that out, but we're in some kind of a litigation setting. That's not really evidence. We don't have dram shop laws here likely because of the casino influence. So, I know some people tried to bring claims in the past that they were overserved and it caused them to spend too much money in the casinos. I've not had.
That's why we come to Vegas, right? That's the whole point.
Right, but as far as like being liable for overserving, we don't have dram shop laws here.
So you have we were talking before the podcast, you do a lot of workers' comp.
We do a fair amount of workers' comp here, absolutely.
Is there a certain type of field that you see a lot of your cases coming from? Do they come from the unions, the hospitality work, or are they more construction?
Well, I'd say probably, that's a good point, probably hospitality and construction. We've had a fair number of people work in the cleaning departments at the casinos. We've had some construction cases. It gets a little tricky with some of the places maybe not having coverages, which we've been able to go after through our Department of Industrial Relations here to get penalties against them for our clients. One of the things, it's a lot of education in work comp. We have to educate the clients that this is not designed, they don't get pain and suffering. Work comp system is not designed to, it's just designed to get them the treatment that they've been deemed to need, and to get them back working, and if they are not back to their full recovery level, to possibly get what's called a permanent partial disability rating. But that's the system. It's not designed to make it a.
We're having the same discussions in South Carolina, man. It's the same thing. How long does it take to settle a workers' compensation case on average?
So
are y'all backed up pretty bad? Because it's forever for us.
So that's a great question. It depends. If there's a lot of appealable issues, it can get backed up. If they had treatment and if the work comp, recently what we had introduced here within the last couple of years, which is nice, we used to not be able to bring bad faith claim against work comp insurers. We now can.
Okay.
So that's helped even it out a little more. There was not really enough of a mechanism to keep them on their game before. Other than appealing issues and stuff like that. So now they have some more of that. So we've seen a little more even-handedness through the process, and that clients can get treatment that they need and that they can get through. So we've had cases as short as maybe 3 to 5 months up through a couple of years.
Cool deal. That's about the same. So what other practice areas do you practice?
We do
PI and workers' comp the main bread and butter.
Those are the main ones. We've occasionally will have ones where people come to us with we do some medical malpractice, but we work with a partner on that. Some people come with different employment issues. One issue I forgot, we do a lot of more and more like mass tort type work. Your cases. I think I saw that you're involved with that as well. These hair relaxer, the autism cases, along those lines. We've started CPAP, cases along those lines. We've done more and more work in those areas.
Have you done any Camp Lejeune or the AFFF?
A little bit of Camp Lejeune, a little bit of AFFF, a little bit of those. You know, the Camp Lejeune ones are interesting. You're right next to it.
Yeah.
Having to have North Carolina Council on there.
Yeah.
So we've done a little of that, but you know, that's an area that's growing. You know, you know, it's hard for clients to get an understanding of the time length it takes, the process of it. That's an area we've had to work more and more with to get clients comfortable with what they're doing there.
Yeah, it's not like a single event case. You're not going to close this case out, you know, in 12 to 16 months. I mean, this is a 3 to 5, 7 year play, and
if that, right.
It's tough on the clients. It's very hard.
It's extremely difficult. You know, they want justice yesterday, and then when they come to find out they may not qualify for something, that's even tougher.
Yeah.
You know, because the criteria, as you know,
Criteria change, you'll wipe half the cases out in a second.
Shifts.
Yep.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, I had a case and then I didn't, so that becomes a real challenge for them.
For sure.
Yeah.
And we just got to keep fighting the fight, man.
Got to keep fighting. That's the thing, you know. These insurance companies don't. They're not multi-billion-dollar corporations by accident. You know.
Yeah.
They're
making record profits. Their CEOs are getting record bonuses, and they're raising rates. Yeah. And their propaganda blames it on trial lawyers.
Absolutely. They don't lose, right? They you know, they pay out claims and they figure they get it back through their premiums and raising rates, or if a market is too much for them, they just pull out. You know? So they really leave it all on us as the consumers, and for us to fight for those people who get or disadvantaged by this process.
Awesome, man. Well, Eric, I'm glad to fight the fight with you, man.
Yeah. All right,
Let's
brother.
pound it out.
Thank you.
So, Eric, tell us how we can get in touch with you.
Absolutely. So it's Eric Blank Injury Attorneys. I'm here in Las Vegas. Our site is ericblanklaw.com. The number type thing? That,
yeah.
Yeah, sure. 702. There's a lot of twos. 222-2115. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, Eric Blank Injury Attorneys.
Cool deal. I hope to learn some more from you. We got a closed door meeting tomorrow, and you know, throughout this year we'll work together, and you know, I'll send you all my Vegas referrals. Cool
Absolutely,
deal.
Likewise.
All right, cool deal, man. All right, this is signing off. Justin Lovely, MyrtleBeachBackerLawyer.com. Again, we're coming live from Red Rock Harley Davidson. So like, subscribe, and consume us everywhere you see your social media, and we'll see you next time.